Zimbabwe's finest radio. ZiFM Stereo.
And it's Messi! It is the cleanest of clean finishes from the best on the planet.
It's time for the biggest sports stories.
Liverpool, the champions of Europe, are top of the world.
The biggest interviews.
That such a great spectacle is ruined by such thuggish behavior.
And all the analysis right here.
He's the one player that has the arrogance to think that he can play in any stadium in the world and any pitch in the world in front of any player in the world and take them on.
Every weekday, it's my sport, it's your sport. It's ZiFM Sport. Let's join the team for the biggest show in the world of sport on ZiFM Stereo. My station, your station.
Welcome to it. This is ZiFM Sport on a Thursday, Throwback Thursday. First thing I want to start by doing is by saying hello, Manchester United fans. How are you doing? I hope that you had a good day. I understand that last night was tough, and hopefully on ZiFM Sport we can make it just a little bit better. But welcome to the show. This is ZiFM Sport on a Thursday, Throwback Thursday. My name is Sean Tafrenyika. I'm the producer of ZiFM Sport, and by now you know that each and every Thursday we keep it short, sharp, and sweet. Sometimes we have a hot topic of discussion. Sometimes we preview a big tournament like a golf major. Sometimes we celebrate the sports heroes that are no longer with us. And sometimes we feature the biggest sports stars locally and internationally. In fact, tonight we've got a riveting interview from a brilliant football coach.
Hi, I'm Warriors coach Zdravko Logarušić, and you are listening to ZiFM Sport.
Sports with a difference.
Right, but before we go to our feature, remember you can interact with the ZiFM Sport team on social media. It's at Barry Manandi, at Mike Madoda, at Mark Pos, at Chris Midzi, and at Alois Bunjira. The main handle you also need to follow is at ZiFM Sport. Now, our big feature sports star tonight is one of the three wise men at Mamelodi Sundowns. Some call them Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. I'm not sure which one it is, but out of all those three, who is the smartest? Because that's who he will be. Now, his name is Steve Komphela, a South African coach, a former footballer himself, and a philosopher. I'm sure you've seen some of his clips going around on social media. He's also the former Maritzburg United, Kaizer Chiefs, and Bloemfontein Celtic, and now of course is part of that coaching trio at Mamelodi Sundowns. So for the next couple of minutes, we'll hear from Steve Komphela in conversation with the veteran South African sportscaster Robert Marawa. Now, Komphela has had a long life journey, and he starts off talking about what he misses the most looking back from where he came from.
The only thing I could say one would miss about their journey is how I wish I had this maturity in my journey as I was coming along. The best time when you know that you could have been the better of who you are is when you say, only if I knew what I know. What I know now, if I had had it before, and as I came along on my path of life, career, profession, whatever it had been, with also the challenges that I had gone through, if I had the amount of a bit of wisdom that I have, I could have been something better than what I think I am.
There's no way, Steve. There's no way. You've possessed this wisdom for the longest time. Maybe you stopped being shy. I don't know.
Yes, I think.
What was it?
I think for far too long I had moments and times with you at a professional level,
yes,
and also personal and private spaces. Maybe that's why you have the privilege of saying I had this. Maybe to agree with you that maybe it had been kept, it had been bottled. I had not developed an esteem that says to me, come out, Steve, and say it. There are moments where, for all of the kids, even a kid somewhere in Nyanga or Mhlatuza or wherever, they have this amount of light. But the light is overshadowed by maybe the environment they find themselves in. At some stage, something has to burst. But how you break into a real you where your esteem is completely of self is when you've consumed the fear and the complex that you find yourself in when you bring up. How we socialize, how I grew up from very humble environment, very poor kid. I wouldn't have a statement or a word to make. As a result, I had no confidence. My self-esteem was very low. Now, when you say maybe I had this with me all along, it's only now that I'm saying it. Maybe I've reached a stage and a level of anger where I'm saying, you know what, whatever it takes, let it come out. I can't die with it.
Wow.
No. If I had been given the level of confidence at a young age to be this that I am now, I'm sure I could have even gone through better struggles, which would have then made a better man and given me a better understanding of how to come across and rise above challenges. It is only through challenges, Rob, that I grew. Now, maybe the strength that I would have had based on the wisdom that I have now would have been at level 6 and my challenges would have been level 12. Then I would have upgraded to level 24. But I'm now at 12 because I had level 6 capacity and level 12 challenges, and then I had to rise and be to the level of my challenges. Maybe the upgrade would have been even better. That you picked that, I remember, and I'm not going to hijack your interview.
No, it's your conversation.
In Turkey, I was the boss.
Yes.
I would sit there and roast guys here, ask them questions. This time, I'm here to be roasted. I remember in 1992, I scored one hell of a beautiful goal, Wade Du Plessis. I was still with Fairway Stars then. We played at Rand Stadium. It was a corner kick. The ball was played from the corner and then got cleared to the halfway line. I controlled the ball one touch and took a shot. Unbelievable goal. And then I won the goal of the year. And then I was asked, I don't know whether it was Mark Gleason or Cy Lemon, one of these journalists there. And I still remember vividly what I said to them. And that statement sounded, now I realize what philosophy is. Then I did not, but I had it. There's something very strange about having something and you don't know what it is, yet it is valuable. Now, I then said, if there's anyone who thinks I do not deserve to get the trophy, then must come and get it at home. That was cocky. I mean, a humble guy from Kwakwa without anything saying that, listen, you're making a statement that's bold.
Yeah.
Now, fast forward, when I look at it, Steve, could you have said that? I've said many of those currently, but how they are packaged, they are extremely glittery. When I say something and it is well packaged, you must know if you can unwrap that, break that, the beautiful wrap in a present.
The answer is inside.
You know, Christmas time, we wrap these presents so nicely. But the slaughter we make to that wrapping paper, when we open the present, it's more like we do not even care about the ones who took time in wrapping the present.
Ribbons and all.
Yeah, the ribbons, they took time and they were more like the way they tied them, tidiness, the colors. People took time and they were very delicate. Marwena, when you open it, you rip it apart. Now, if you can rip apart the package that I always deliver, inside there's something. But why then am I so careful in the delivery of the stuff, the precious commodity inside? Is for the respect of anyone who's likely to receive the delivery. Because how often other people take delivery of stuff they're not familiar with, and it doesn't look good, but inside is beautiful, they let go. So I want anyone who takes delivery of the stuff, it must look inviting, so that at no stage it must go past your doorstep. Be curious, want to know, but why, what is this? Through curiosity, you start to learn. And that's how I've embraced my life.
Do you think that you were, in a way, afraid of offending people, as daring as that comment was at the time, but post that?
Yeah. Then I think there's two things in life. You're either brave or stupid.
Right.
Anytime you take a decision that is unbelievably, in a way that people say, but wait a minute, how could you? Either you were stupid not to know how serious that would have been, or if you're not stupid, then you were very brave.
Right.
If you don't know, then it means you're naive, you're stupid, you don't know, and it's going to hurt you. But if you know, It means you're brave enough to say, you know what, by all means possible, I would go through it. So I don't know the stage and the state I was at, but I would accept the fact that then I was still loaded. And any loaded ammunition, to an extent, needs to be utilized or released. I was loaded because I felt then there was this principle that no, if Buyemakaya, Kubukwakwa and whatever, you are not as good as the rest of the ones who came from environments that were more like popular. And I felt I would have to make a statement on behalf of those guys who are more like obscured. And when I look at it now, I don't know how many years back, 30, it's still relevant. Could I go back and say that again? Yes, even with more clarity. Do I regret what I said? No, I do not. Because the minute you say something, my philosophy is one. I use two brains. I use two brains. The thinking brain and the brain that's monitoring the thinking brain. Sure. Now, when I think, as I'm talking to you now, I'm saying this, but at the back of my utterances, there's another guy monitoring what I say so that your thought processes must be clear, Steve. And after saying your thought processes must be clear, Steve, what then is the next line to guide the conversation so that the substance? And whilst I'm thinking around what I'm saying, there has to be something that says to me, wait a minute, Steve, as you're saying this, are you not offending Robert? You are not offending Robert. But okay, Robert is excited, but what about the other person who's not a Robert? Very difficult to make utterances that are clear and not hurting anyone. There's no way. When you say something is blue, red might not be happy. Purple wouldn't be either. White would be frustrated. How dare you say blue and all the rest of the other colors are still comfortable and happy? But it is how you say the blue that you don't raise your voice, that you upset the rest of the other colors. You say blue, so that white, red, pink, and yellow can feel the magnitude of their presence, bringing down the voice that says blue. That blue is minimal, I'm superior. Yet, you recognize blue and not the other ones around.
But do you feel, though, the need that everybody needs to be pleased? Do you feel the need that you shouldn't be offended?
I want our people to think.
Yeah.
My biggest desire is to find a nation that thinks. We've gone through a stage where we got lazy, we don't want to think anymore. We have become a people that is more of dependent thinkers.
Right.
If we can generate and have a nation of independent thinkers, I'll bring relevance to what I'm saying. It would be great. Now, I'll put scenarios quickly so that we can understand what I'm talking about, because sometimes I tend to be so vague in my utterances. When kids and scholars and students started saying hashtag fees must fall, it got clear. After that, then we had our President Zuma, and then it was Zuma must fall. Then fees must fall, Zuma must fall, Steve must fall, Robert must fall. Now, at the back of the start of that wedding, fees must fall. The rest of the other dependent thinkers stopped thinking and started following that kind of the tone. Not only in terms of utterance, robe, and wedding, even in our behavior. How things happened in sports. I'll give you the Mabhida case. Yeah. The conversation is open. What happened in Mabhida was not an issue that is football related. It was a microscopic reflection of the thinking of society. That I'm saying fees must fall, Zuma must fall, Steve must fall, forget it is utterance. That kids were banning schools and all that, and then they wanted them to, they're banning streets and all that, then they were banning the stadium. So I want our people to be deep in thinking and not only be followers. That when somebody does something, no matter how superb and how good it looks and is, you must look deep into that and think twice. Your first sight, when you see it for the first time, you must observe it and see it. But there has to be a deeper look into it when you analyze. When I'm watching football, I would watch a match of football, or Leipzig is playing Tottenham. Oh, what a game they're playing. I'm watching that. There's a stage where I stop watching the game. Let me analyze these folks. Now, observation and analysis are different. At first sight, you can see, you can sense, you can observe. Upon registry in your mind, start to be highly analytic. Our people stop immediately at the first stage of sight. And then they think that, no, the thinking is taking place. No. There's even beyond that kind of thinking, even into the second brain of your thoughts. When you've gone deeper, when you accept suffering, when you're saying bring on suffering, because it is only out of serious suffering that you get better. You will never grow if you don't suffer. The greatest growth happens in discomfort. Those who have not grown are the ones who've always been comfortable. And those who want to grow must accept pain. And those who are still growing are going through pain. So it is just a choice you make. But beyond that, Robert, it is the level of acceptance. You just have to accept circumstances and grow. And I'm doing an interview now, Emanchi. The guy behind the camera, the guy listening at home, even yourself, what I'm saying must not be selfish that it only talks to me. It must also resonate with you.
Yeah.
That in my utterances, you do not only understand, but you living what I'm saying. In my speech, you see yourself going through the struggle and then finding comfort to say, you know what, bring on the problems.
Yeah.
Because it is only out of problems that I'll become better. A stack of coal under pressure becomes diamond. But if you want to remain cool, avoid pressure. You want to be a precious diamond, bring on the heat.
Great. And the heat was brought to you. And
Yeah.
I am glad you mentioned it, because I was going to go there. I was going to go to Moses Mabhida. The irony is that you find yourself back in the kingdom, back in the province, back in the city that resulted in that violence that happened at Moses Mabhida Stadium. We had not seen that in a very long time. We saw cameras being bashed and kicked. We saw security men and women being bashed and kicked. We saw scenes of smoke and burning and everything else that was going on. At the center of all of this was a coach of a football team named Steve Komphela.
Yep.
The air was palpable with tension from the beginning.
Yeah.
There were imotos amaphoyisa already waiting
Exactly.
at the main exits
Before the match.
before the game.
Yeah.
And they were in the anti-riot gear. Everything said subconsciously to people that yabona namhlanje
Yeah.
shumutu zobon Satan. And we had to see Satan the wrong way. But you were at the center of it. And that night, later that evening, down the tunnel to your right-hand side, they had to call a press conference. Steve Komphela, goodbye. But the damage was done.
It was unnecessary.
Yeah.
I'm saying, and which was then what I said even in the press conference, that listen, if people have to go through what I just picked up, and it is because of me, no, not me. I wouldn't allow that. I would rather stop everything and allow the process to happen beyond me and outside me, because I can't then be selfish looking at the poor ladies who are just innocent going through that. And labantu laba kahle kahle bekumele ke baboshwe. Just arrest them.
Yeah.
So that they can understand what it is not right. If you are not happy about something, there's a way of violence, whether Mahatma Gandhi or even Nelson Mandela, they said it. Even Martin Luther King, he said it. You will never solve any problem through violence. It is only through non-violence that most of the stuff gets solved. Now, when people come to the stadium, maybe they were drunk, whatever it is, having agendas and all that, we don't get terrified. I'm going to put up a story, and it has never been said anywhere. Maybe somewhere in some of the work that I'm trying to do, this will come out. We singamajola ekhaya singojola inkomo, singamampondomise. And in our upbringing, when a kid is born ekhaya, during the time when we were still like real amaxhosa la kunenyoka kuthiwa ujola. It's a small snake green. It's a sign of peace, it's a sign of approval. Idlozi. Ya khami vele ifike manihlala lapha ekhaya ezilalini vele kuyi akumelanga ngibulale lo nyoka. Abantu abadala bayayazi ukuba what is happening with that beautiful green snake going past. Mabhida, Robert, you won't believe this. After the whole chaos, a snake was discovered there that nobody knows where it came from. It was coming from the center circle right through towards my benches, and that snake got killed. And if I'm lying, Vina, I hope you have those pictures. a snake. I mean, this is one revelation, and I'm not attaching this to anything, but I'm saying in a 75,000, 80,000 seater, under that chaos and all that, on the park, in the field, where does a bloody snake come from?
Hey, man.
Now, then you come to, I'm gonna come, Ganja.
Yeah.
I am this forever. My biggest mistake, my biggest weakness, I'm fearless. That's my worry. I'm afraid that I'm fearless. I don't know whether that makes sense.
No, it makes sense because you're scared of the eventuality. You're scared that in the day that you lose your mind, you lose your temper, somebody could be dead.
And I try my utmost best to be in control of what I'm thinking about.
But not because you want to, but because you don't know how great the power you have.
My patience goes beyond moving from Cape Town to Cairo.
Yeah.
If you have to exhaust my patience, if you live in Cape Town, you'll find me in Cairo. If you can make it to Cairo, just before we go abroad, Spain, about Italy,
yes.
Maybe then yangamuka gintambo. That's when maybe you'll get the piece of me that I wouldn't want to show to anyone. But that piece beyond Cairo, the piece beyond Cairo is one that I know I've seen it once, and it does not have to show face because it is the worst ever thing that I would want to see myself. There's an interview of Mike Tyson that I saw recently, where he was in studio. He was even sweating on Mike, talking about this Mike Tyson that who he had been, and the Mike Tyson he is, and how he even thinking about the Mike Tyson who only knew nothing else but the art of war. He talks about all those guys he studied in terms of war, but now he's this human being that he is. Now, Mike Tyson regrets the fact that what he had been is not actually what he would wish to have seen. Had he known what he knows now, he wouldn't have allowed to be that Mike Tyson was a monster. That was profound. And he told the guys in the studio that, listen, I'm not kidding, I'm serious about this.
Yeah.
Now I'm saying the same. Anything that could happen beyond the stage of my patience and tolerance is something that I wouldn't want to see any other human being exposed to.
The philosopher Steve Komphela. Very, very interesting story there. What a life he's lived so far. But here's the thing though, I feel like we didn't get enough. So if you want to hear part 2 of this interview, I can make it happen. I can hook you up. So hit me up on WhatsApp. Let me know. The number is 0731 168 045. Let me know if you want to listen to part 2 of Steve Komphela.
Hi, my name is Rulani Shamba, Mytoria's super striker. You're listening to ZiFM Sports.